Hello and welcome to the November 2021 episode of the Living Legacy series from Of the I Sing American Heritage Through Song. I am Audrey Johnson, classically trained opera singer and founder of the I Sing, and I'm thrilled to welcome you all to another exciting episode today. Before we begin, I have a very exciting announcement. This series has recently been awarded grant funding through the Indiana Arts Commission, a state agency, and the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency. And we are so grateful to both of these agencies for their continued support. The mission of the I Sing is to bring American heritage to life through music. And a cornerstone of this mission is the support and championing of living American composers, because they are the living legacy of our nation's musical heritage and culture. I especially love featuring their song settings of American poetry, because this brings our national treasury of literature to the forefront as well. I believe deeply in our nation's music and poetry, and I am honored to be an ambassador of this music, with the mission of bringing people together through the power of song. Today, I am thrilled to welcome our guest composer as Dr. G. Bradley Bodine, Senior Lecturer of Music Theory at Purdue University, and the Music Coordinator and Director at the Catholic Center on campus. Dr. Bodine's music has been given grant awards through the Indiana Arts Commission, as well as multiple awards through ASCAP. Dr. Bodine's compositions include works for concert band, orchestra, solo voice, choir, as well as multiple voicings for percussion instruments. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bradley Bodine. Dr. Bodine, welcome. It is so wonderful to have you today. Thank you for making the time to be here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Well, and I can't wait for everyone to hear your gorgeous music, and it's so nice to finally be able to do an interview in person, so to speak. So this is a wonderful home for the holidays kind of thing today. So talk to us about, you have such a wonderful and celebrated tenure, both as a professor, as a teacher of music, as well as a composer in your own right. So I would love to know a little bit about where this all started for you. Could you share a little bit about how you got started?
I played guitar first, started when I was 12.
Okay.
I took lessons and learned how to read music on the guitar, which was a good skill for me to learn.
Sure.
So then I went to playing lead guitar in rock bands for a length of time, and then even when I was in college, I played lead guitar in rock bands. Then I went to the Evergreen State College, and some of the professors there showed me the music of living composers. I didn't realize people were writing stuff for symphonies still, and such. And so I was like, I think I'm in love here. And
That's
so it
great.
was, I just fell in love with the music
Sure.
of Charles Ives and
Absolutely.
Steve Reich and other composers.
Sure, and these are American composers.
Yes, a lot of American
also,
composers.
that's great. Yes. That's fantastic. I love that there was a crystallizing moment for you. For some people, everybody's different.
Yeah.
I've had so many different answers to that question, and it's a fascinating one to ask because I get something different every time. I love for you that you have that moment. How exciting. So did that then prompt you to decide to kind of change your specific focus within your music major and pursue composition?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
I always wrote music, so I wrote rock music and stuff like that.
Got it.
I also was influenced by the guitar players like Duane Allman and Steve Howe from Yes, and we played Rush and stuff like that, so it was always a little pretty complicated music that I always loved. Mm-hmm. When I was in high school, they set me in a room and had me just studying music theory. I always loved just studying music theory.
Wow. Well, there are not many of your type on the planet.
No, I've always loved it.
Well, that's great, and the fact that you infused that with so many wonderful other influences throughout the different facets of our culture. I'm a Georgia girl. I'm from South Georgia, so to hear you say Duane Allman, I'm like, okay, this is great. We're in good shape. Well, that's fabulous. And then how did that lead you? Because you're also now such an accomplished pianist. Was when you chose to pursue that compositional avenue, did that also increase your dedication to the piano as an instrument?
Well, still the piano is like a foreign language to me in a sense.
Really?
Yes, I'm an accomplished guitarist. I played lead guitar in rock bands. I played classical guitar. So a very large variety of and I also sing at St. Tom's. I'm the choir director there,
Sure.
so I've spent a lot of time singing. But I did dedicate myself to the piano more because I compose on the piano.
Sure.
So it's a better instrument, I think, to compose on, certainly than the guitar. This song that we are doing, A Song by James Whitcomb Riley, was originally, the piano part was written on the guitar.
Yes, that's what you shared during rehearsal, which is such an interesting. That's such a unique situation for an art song.
I didn't have a piano.
Yeah. Oh,
I
well,
didn't
hey,
have
there
a
you go.
piano. I didn't know how to play it. So I go, let's see if it works here on the guitar, then it'll work on the piano. I gave it to a pianist. They played it, and it worked. So
Wow.
that's kind of how it came about. That was my first piano accompaniment
Okay.
as a student.
Well, that's an incredible story. And let's just dive right in. I think that's a great segue to talk about the song that we are featuring of yours today, which is, as you just said, A Song, which is the title of this poem by Indiana poet James Whitcomb Riley. So talk to us about, how did you come across this text? Do you remember?
I had a poetry book, and I was just looking through lots of different. I studied poetry at Evergreen State College, so I always loved lots of different kinds of poetry.
Sure.
I was just looking at James Whitcomb Riley.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Washington State. I'd never been to Indiana.
Right, that's incredible how
And
that
so
coincidence
I
happened.
picked the text just because I liked the text.
Yeah.
So I was. The song was written 40 years ago. I moved to Indiana 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it was written a long time. When you contacted me, I thought, well, I've got that James Whitcomb Riley song. We could try, but I really had to work hard to find it.
Yes, yeah, you told me you had to go through all of these boxes of old archival
Yes.
sheet music notations, but I'm so glad that you found it. It must have been like uncovering an old friend.
Yes, it was. It was like uncovering an old friend.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And you and I were sharing as we were rehearsing this piece, the way that it feels to you to bring this piece back to life after so long, and you're in such a different place in your life now. Would you like to share any about that experience, what that's like for you?
Just kind of like, is this a good song or what?
Yes, it is.
And when you contacted me back, you were very positive. So it's like, wow, that's neat.
Oh no, it's absolutely, it's just gorgeous.
And I've taken on, when I first looked at the piano part, I thought, this is just, what is this thing? And then I played it. Gradually, I'm starting to get a better feel for it. Not a bad accompaniment, actually.
Yeah.
So that's probably my...
Sure.
I love the melody still.
Yes.
And the chords. And
Yes.
actually the piano part still.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to put it in a symphony orchestra version at some point.
Absolutely.
Because I think that the text and all, there's ever a song somewhere talks about the bluebird trills and things like
Exactly.
that, and you can bring in different instruments doing maybe even some real bird calls
Yes.
in the
Yes.
background, and those kinds of things is what I would envision.
Oh, absolutely. Well, of course, with the orchestral option, the wealth of tonal colors that are available are so much more than what a piano, which is a wonderful way to realize the breadth of things. But of course, that
Yeah.
is limited where the orchestra is not. So
Yeah.
I think that would be wonderfully exciting.
Yeah.
And I remember when you were talking to me about the piece when we were rehearsing it, you said, it's such a youthful perspective that you still like and you feel it's still a
Yeah.
very viable piece. But you said if I were to set this poem today, I'm sure it would be a completely different approach and it would be a completely different song.
Yeah.
So that's such a neat, it's just a really fun little window back in time for you. And
It's 40 years ago, so it's a long, long time back. There's a lot has happened in my life since that time. I've done a lot more music. I've written a lot more songs, and spent a lot more time doing things musical.
sure.
So I don't know. I don't know if it'd be better though, either. Mind you.
Sure. Well, and we were talking about that as well, right? Every
Yeah.
age has something to teach us and has a viability. And,
Yeah.
with that, why don't we go ahead, Dr. Bodine, if you would indulge. Yes, let's go ahead and have you read this, the poem for us. Just, as the composer that you are now, reading a poem set by a younger version of yourself.
Okay. There is ever a song somewhere, my dear. There is ever a something sings always. There's the song of the lark when the skies are clear, and the song of the thrush when the skies are gray. The sunshine showers across the grain, and the bluebirds trail in the orchard tree. And in and out, when the eaves drip rain, the swallows are twittering ceaselessly. There is ever a song somewhere, my dear. Be the skies above or dark or fair, there is ever a song that our hearts may hear. There is ever a song somewhere, my dear. There is ever a song somewhere. There is ever a song somewhere, my dear. In the midnight black or the midday blue, the robin pipes when the sun is here, and the cricket chirrups the whole night through. The buds may blow and the fruit may grow, and the autumn leaves drop crisp and sere. But whether the sun or the rain or the snow, there is ever a song somewhere, my dear. There is ever a song somewhere, my dear, be the skies above or dark or fair. There is ever a song that our hearts may hear. There is ever a song somewhere, my dear. There is ever a song somewhere.
That was lovely. Thank you for sharing that. We heard so much of the tenderness in so many particular places that even now, 40 years later, we will hear in the way that you've composed this piece. So thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And now we are thrilled to share this beautiful song with all of you.
And the song of the
Well, Dr. Bodine, I just have to say, for myself as a singer, that piece is one that just sings itself. It is absolutely gorgeous and just a joy to sing. So thank you for that great gift. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for the beautiful performance.
It's my pleasure. Hopefully there will be more where that came from, since we have the luxury of being in town together.
Yes.
So this is just, it's a wonderfully exciting start, I think, to something special. So let's talk just a little bit about, this song is one thing that I just really love about it is that it speaks to that universal gratitude of the things that are all around us that make life wonderful. And I'm wondering for you, because I know largely your breadth of song compositions deal with sacred texts, and of course also as your role as the music coordinator, choir director at St. Thomas, I'd love to know, if it wouldn't be too personal for you, to share with us the way that you feel that spirituality plays that role musically for you in your life, and how you as the music director of St. Thomas choose to infuse music to enhance the spiritual experience for the congregants.
I think that composing is praying. So I ask God for a song. I pray before I compose generally. Sometimes I forget to because I'm in such a hurry. I can't wait for God. I gotta get this thing done. Yeah, and it never caught.
Slow down, right?
Yeah. So, but when I pray, God has answered my prayer every single time. And the first thing I do when I hear a beautiful song that I've written, and I feel like I'm on the outside too, I just found it. God gave it to me, and I found it. So I'm going, that's pretty, isn't it? I like that,
Wow.
And that's kind of how I look at composing, is it's a prayer. It's my form of prayer, of asking God for a blessing of a song, and God gives me that song and creates the song, and I get to hear it first.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That is incredible. So you are, in fact, merely the vessel.
Merely the vessel.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you are similarly so humble in the way that you remain so true to the text when you write song compositions. You were sharing that with me also in rehearsal, that you are not one to change words or even to omit a phrase. So it's just so apparent in what you do, Dr. Bodine, that it is an act of service, and it is so beautiful.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, it has been my supreme pleasure.
Thanks for that fantastic performance of the song. I really appreciate that very much.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. I'm so very glad that you enjoyed it. And again, here's to, as they say, right, the beginning of a beautiful friendship through music, which is one of the most wonderful ways to experience that. Well, thank you so very much again for your time. This has been so wonderful. And for all of you watching, this has been the Living Legacy series. We sure hope you've enjoyed it.